pleasure to see you all. Traditionally, we used to have this photo taken at the General Assembly Hall. But because of this renovation project, General Assembly Hall is unfortunately closed for 1 year. So maybe you may have to come back again. But this looks quite good, quite good. This is a nice group. I'd like to welcome all of you to the United Nations. I know that you have spent some month during the summertime. I hope your internship in the United Nations has been very useful for you and for your career and for your friends and for your family. I'm sure that your parents, your brothers and sisters must have been very, very proud of your internship here. In fact, my own daughter spent internship here. It was a long time ago, about 12 years ago, many years ago. And she spent some years in the United Nations, and then she left. And anyway, though it may be very brief, your very fresh and creative ideas as young representatives, young generation, must have been very useful for your senior staff. I hope all senior staff in the United Nations have heard what you said. In fact, this whole world is very young at this time. If we count 18 years of age, 45% of world population takes it. And if we count 25 years of age, it's more than half of the population. And therefore, this world is your world. This world is very young, and this world has a long and much, much longer hope and future. And I really count on you. That is why United Nations focuses and places more attention and priority on the youth. As you know, recently I appointed for the first time in the history of the United Nations Youth Special Envoy. He is just a 29-year-old man, but he is, I think, youngest senior most staff of the United Nations. It's not only the special envoy is important, but you as a group, as a generation, your role is very important. Your voices and your role should be respected. You should have a decent and equal, rightful opportunities in social, economic, and political, and in every aspect of our life. That is what we are working very hard. Even though your work here has been very brief, I think your work in the United Nations has been one of the most, I think, crucially important time when the whole world is now moving toward the much faster and toward the right direction, toward the sustainable development. We have not spoken much about sustainable development in the past. The society has been very much uneven, unsustainable. So we are trying to make, as a #1 priority of the United Nations, to make this society sustainable in terms of social and economic and environmental. These are three dimensions which covers all spectrums of our life. We are working very hard, and I'm soon going to release my own recommendations to the member states. Member states will take up this issue from September this year. And I expect that by the end of around this time, member states will have found and agreed on sustainable development goals, like the Millennium Development Goals. And will also agree on future development plans. We are now aiming at least 15 years ahead of us by 2030. But of course, your future is much, much longer. But as a mid-term and long-term goals, we first made our target by 2030. By that time, we will have eliminated all the number of people who are living in abject poverty. By the end of 2015, we will have reduced by half the number of people living in abject poverty. We will have to have for all the children to have quality education. At this time, 57 million, you must have all these statistics, 57 million children, the school-age children, they cannot go to school, particularly young girls. The parents choose boys. When they have limited time, limited resources, then they send the boys only to the school. Then we have to provide all this. We have to eliminate any inequality between gender. We have to have a full gender equality, gender empowerment. We have to give all decent jobs and decent opportunities for all young people by 2030. And we will have to provide energy, particularly access to electricity, to all the people in this world. The population may grow to 8 billion by that time. So we have to provide, without fail, every 8 billion people access to electricity. You know how many people don't have electricity at this time? 1.4 billion people. 2.5 billion people do not have access to a toilet. All this kind of sanitation program, energy shortages, water shortages, gender inequality, social injustice, inequalities, all this should be eliminated. This is our goal and aim and our vision. That's my vision, which we have agreed, all member states have agreed, that let us make this world better for all, where men and women, young and old, rich and poor, they can live equally with a full human dignity, with a full protection of their safety and security. It may be easy to say. It may be easy to write all these recommendations in the report. But we need your engagement, your active engagement and your leadership. From tomorrow, if you leave United Nations, when you cross this First Avenue, the whole world is wide open. Then it's now up to you what kind of a path you will take. Yes, you are free. You can be a politician, you can be a business person, or you can be an educationist, you can be sports and artist, or diplomats, and you may come back to the United Nations. My position is open after 3 years. After 5 years, 10 years, then it will be open for you to become Secretary General. There are at least 193 ambassadorship posts. So that's again for you, all open. What I ask you is to have a big dream, big ideas. When you don't have dreams, when you don't have a passion, as a young person, you should have a strong passion. You should have a big ideas. There is no guarantee that you'll be able to achieve your achieve your dreams. But if you don't have dreams, at least, then you will not achieve anything. So that's important. First important thing is have something very firm, very ambitious, in your mind, in your head. Then try to achieve it and try to cultivate your capacity. And work very closely with your friends and neighbors. You're not the only one. You may not need to talk only with the people who do same things. Try to meet all diverse group of people and expand your horizon. That means have a global vision. Global vision. Be a global citizen. You may be coming from all different nations, all different countries, carrying different passports. But these passports these days do not mean anything. Whatever passport you may carry, this is just for the purpose of administration. What you do, what you speak, what you see these days is a whole one world. We are living in one family, under a big family. So remember that you are a family of this global world. From this corner to the remotest corner of the world, you name any place, it can be reached within half a second. With BlackBerry or Twitter or social media. It's just totally connected world. It's not only distance, geographical distance, the substance. Substance is totally connected, completely connected. You just name any issues. For example, energy. Without energy, you cannot do anything. This whole world is connected with energy. Food. Without food, can you live? And one issue affects all the issues of our life. Therefore, just remember that you are living in a very completely, very closely interconnected world. Therefore, there is nothing which can be resolved in isolation. Just try to think comprehensively, try to become a global citizen with a global vision.